James Hurley here. Today I want to talk to you briefly about pushing yourself harder than you've ever pushed yourself before to really make change and to really be who you want to be. I think about this all the time about myself, like what it took to make me really want to change. You know, sometimes it feels like you're tied down to where you're at. A lot of us say, oh, if I could just only move out of this city or town I'm in and I could move to this other place, it's going to make everything better. Well, guess what? That's only going to temporarily uproot you. That's going to give you the opportunity to change. But if you do not have the ability or don't know how to root yourself in your purpose for change, then how are you going to change? This is why everything goes in cycles, and a lot of us end up right exactly where we were before. So, something I learned recently is exactly how to make sure that you don't go back into those same cycles and don't just have like kind of a change of heart on what you're doing and then keep that up for only a couple weeks and then you're right back to where you started again. And I'll get to that, and I will tell you that at the end of this video. First, I just want to tell you a little bit about what it took for me to really wake up and really change and understand that there were other options. Doggy. There were other options, you know, rather than me just falling back into the same cycles over and over. And what I had to really do was I had to say to myself, like, is it time? Is it time? Have I had enough of things I've been putting myself through or things I've been going through in order to really facilitate change in my life? I know that there were times when I was having a good time and I might have been out like partying or like, you know, DJing or out doing whatever, you know, whatever I like to do best. And at those times, I was generally always practicing escapism. So, you know, a lot of us practice escapism and we don't really think of it as us not wanting to change. We just think of it as getting away from our horrible jobs or part of our horrible lives or paying bills, and we can get together with a bunch of people and just be free, right? For the moment, for the night, for whatever that amount of time is. Whether you're going to the bar, whether you're going to a festival or just a house party. And then if you're like me, you end up, you know, waking up the next day, or if you don't go to sleep until the next night or whenever it is, and there's always something that was in the back of your head the whole time, something in your heart. I know it was something in my heart, and it was always tapping at me saying, you need to do something different. And for me, it wasn't really about me saying, oh, I need to get out of my bad habits, although that was some of it. But really, what it was for me was really understanding that there was something deeper, something bigger inside of me that always wanted to get out. Always was wanting to really surface and make a difference, not only in my own life, but in other people's lives. I remember several times when I was living in Las Vegas thinking that this would be after a weekend of partying or whatever, and I would literally just be thinking to myself, I want to do something that matters. I want to actually have a life where I think that I can, you know, make a difference, whether it's in the world or whether it's in other people's general lives, because I felt you just kind of start getting in this loop. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you ever get that feeling? Like you're just stuck in a loop? Like maybe the Matrix just has a hold of you, just has its grip just on you? That's how I feel. Now, don't get me wrong, some of you might be watching this video out there, and I'm sure you are, that where you're like, what is this guy talking about? Life's not so bad, I go to my job, I get paid, you know, and that's fine. Because some of you may not be the type of people that want to really be free, and that's fine, because, you know, some people like the Matrix, you know, like in the movie, where the guy just wants to go back in the Matrix, just so he can have a real stake, have money, and all that, but that's, you know, that's what I'm saying, is there's some of us that, for instance, I myself, you know, going to a job every day, I would think thoughts like literally, even if it was a brand new job, I would think thoughts like, why am I here? Not why am I here because I hated it and I wanted a new job, but it didn't matter which job it was. After a month, 2 months, 3 months go by, I always kept thinking the same thing. Didn't matter how cool the job was, it just wasn't me. I always wanted to run my own life. I always wanted to do something different. Run my own space. You know, I wanted to be able to travel when I want, do what I want, when I want. And that's that. I mean, those thoughts have not stopped. Some of us have entrepreneurial minds, some of us don't. I know a lot of you do, though. You know, a lot of us that go to festivals and things like that, and big EDM, you know, parties and all that, we've freed our minds a long time ago. But what happens afterwards, the aftermath of that, is we have to assimilate back into the system, right? And we have to really find a balance between our escapism and our regular life, right? But the question really remains, is that the only way? And I'm going to challenge that and say, no, it's not the only way. It's not the only way at all. You know, so many of us are convinced because of this model of the world we live in that the way we've been doing things is the only way because that's the way everybody else does them. And if you try to think bigger, well, good luck with that, right? But we forget so often the power of will and imagination, and the power to really be able to go after something when you want something. You know, when you really want something, think about the emotion behind something. I'm going to use relationships as an example. I know if you're like me, there's been times out there when you've been single, or some of you before you were married, whatever situation you're in, there are times, rare or not, that you meet someone in your life and you've been okay before and you've dated before and everything's been, it's cool, it's not cool, it's whatever. But then you meet that one person on that one day and something in you just clicks and you're like, I have to meet this person, I have to be with that person, I have to somehow get involved in that person's life, no matter what I do, no matter what it takes. And that's all you think about, right? It's all you think about. Now, some of you might be saying, I haven't experienced that yet. Well, you will. Trust me, you will. That day will come. But the reason I bring up that example is because I want you to think of the emotion behind that drive. And I want you to think about when you were in that situation, how successful or unsuccessful, either way, that you were in attaining that. And for me, if I think about a couple different relationships I've had in the past, there were times where my drive was so on point and so into the woman I met that was it. I had to have her, and I got her. There was another time, or a couple other times even, that my drive was so hard and so powerful that I did the same thing and it just didn't line up with that person, and I didn't get that person. But what's the key point between both of those? I just took action and did it. Because that's what I wanted. That was driving me, right? Right? So let's apply that same philosophy to what you're doing in life. Anything. Your job, what makes you happy, right? I know that for me, a lot of what I did was I didn't realize that I could necessarily apply the same drive to what I had been applying to, let's say, a new relationship or you know, someone I felt that strongly about. I shouldn't just say a new relationship because not all relationships are that driven. But a love, I guess you could say. And but what about the things you love in your life? What about what you deserve to be? What about the money you deserve to make, or where you deserve to travel? You know, I think we can all take a lesson from children. When a child really wants something, do you notice they just rarely ever just give up after the first try? They just keep going and going and going, right? Or as children, if you were like me, you might have asked a question about the world, you know, something, I don't even know, just something You might have asked like why something is the way it is, with adults. Why do adults do this? Why do adults do that? And a lot of times I know the answer I would get is from my parents would be, well, that's just the way it is. That's the way things are, right? Wrong. Because, and I want to say, because I remember when I was a kid, I would think stuff like, well, why can't the world just change tomorrow? Why can't it just be that way tomorrow? I remember even all the way growing up into a teenager, I remember thinking about the way the government was or the way things were happening in the world. I remember thinking, well, if everybody just made the decision to change, it would all change tomorrow, right? And that's true. Think about it. If we all took action and made a decision to change for the better tomorrow, maybe not even tomorrow, how about right now? If we all made that decision to do that right now with no delay, we just did exactly what we needed to do right in that moment, and that moment is now, then the world would change tomorrow. Simple, right? Well, not so simple when you have billions of people on the earth. But the more of us that make a conscious decision to actually change our lives for the better, do better for ourselves, become better leaders by following the right people, then we can influence other people, not by trying to talk to them about like what they should or shouldn't do, because I would never sit here and lecture you on what you should or shouldn't do. Although I'm sure, just like many of you, I could for hours. But I'm not the king of everything. I don't know exactly what's right. But what I do know is that I believe most people are really good. When it comes down to it, everybody is really actually a good person. Inside, you were born good. And you were born with the ability to actually make a difference in people's lives. And in my opinion, that's what the world needs right now. I mean, really look at everything going on. Look at everything that you can in the news. Actually, don't go look at it. Don't go actually look at it. It'll ruin your day. But look at what's going on. You know what's going on in the news. You know what goes on online. I mean, hell, just a year ago, I was completely obsessed with conspiracy theories and everything was going on in the world that I couldn't even function in a way where that was positive. All I could really talk about or post news articles to was things that talked about the destruction going on in the world. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to pay attention to that stuff, some of it, in order to be aware of the bad influences in the world, just so they don't affect you. But I sincerely changed my attitude and my opinion on that because I realized that what I was doing by regurgitating the bad news, or even by regurgitating what's really going on, I was actually putting that same image, that same hologram, that same signal out to the universe, and the universe was just creating more of it. What I have learned recently, and what I've learned in just recently within Power Network and recently in the last several months is that we truly do only change on the inside. Once we change on the inside, it's okay to be aware of everything, but what really matters for me personally, is putting a signal out that causes a ripple effect that changes people for the better. And that starts with putting myself around the people and the places and the things that actually will make me a better person. I want to emulate the people that are having success in their lives. I want to emulate the people that are helping other people. I mean, makes sense, right? So we come full circle is, what do you really do, or what have you done to really push yourself, right? And so I told you I'd tell you about how I learned to conquer that loop, how I learned to truly take control and decide not to go back into the same loop of making promises to myself and other people and then not following through, even with myself, because that's what really poisons us, right? When we don't follow through with what we've said, even to ourselves, that we're going to do. You know, like at the beginning of the week, when you're like, oh my God, that was an epic weekend, but oh my God, my brain hurts, or oh, my body hurts, or oh, why do I do that to myself? And maybe I'll take a couple weeks off from doing this. You know what I mean? That cycle. Or it could be, even if you're not a big partier, it could be something like, you know, I sat around and watched TV all weekend, or I didn't do as much as I wanted to do, even though I told myself I was gonna do it, and then I didn't, and then, you know, another week goes by and nothing gets done in your house, and, you know, things like that. I think we all have some form of those sort of situations going on in our lives, no matter who we are. It doesn't matter if you're just you know, a single free-loving person that runs around and parties all the time, or whether you're married with kids, or whether you're just living with your significant other and trying to make a better life for yourself. We all fall into these ruts, you know, in a way. So let's boil it down. Well, first thing I learned, and first thing that helped me, is I realized that I was promising things and saying yes to things that I actually couldn't follow through with. Or actually wouldn't. I didn't want to. I was just people pleasing, you know? I was making it so that I had all these things on my plate, but never really could get to any of them because I really didn't want to do them. I really didn't want to do them. So think about that. All right, that's first. You got to cut the bullshit. Cut it. Cut it. You need to learn to say no. I needed to learn to say no. And it's not a bad thing. You just got to know what you want. So that's number 2. Know what you want. I learned that I needed to narrow down what I wanted. Now I know what you're saying. I know what some of you are saying out there. But I don't know what I want. You sound like you got it all figured out. I don't know what I want. I don't know. Yeah, I know how that feels. Okay, let's really get this straight. You don't have to know what you want. You don't have to know exactly what you want, but start somewhere with something you like or something you've wanted to accomplish. Now that could be a new job. That could be some hobby, or like some schooling type of thing you've been pursuing, or it simply could just be, you know, let's say it could be like a resolution to just travel more, all right? Because I want to travel more. That's what I'm going to do. So that's it. First you just start with something that you know you want, okay? You don't have to know everything. The key here is to go inside. Go inside. Really meditate on this. I don't know how many of you meditate out there, but really at least lay in your bed or something, or sit down somewhere quiet and really think about this, you know. Think about exactly why you want the goal you want, right? So why do you want to travel? Why do you want to go to school? Why do you want to take up that hobby? Why do you want to, you know, improve your relationship? Why do you want to end your relationship? Why do you want what you want? Okay, so you really need to, like, I needed to really think about what that reason was. And what really ended up happening was that when I asked myself, why do I want that particular thing, I ended up realizing, oh, well, why do I want to travel? Why do I want to travel? Well, because I want freedom. I want to meet new people, you know, and I want to be able to build a life for myself that feels better for myself, right? And you know, that's usually like a big thing when it comes to, you know, a lot of people. Well, that, you know, that's basic. So then I had to figure out, well, how am I going to do that? So I want to actually make money and be successful, right? Well, why do I want that? Well, because it'll make me comfortable and be able to travel and everything else. Duh. All right. Well, why? So the point is, you just keep digging, and pretty soon, when you keep digging as to your why that you want things, like let's say you're as successful as you want to be, you travel, you achieve your goal. Now what? Now what? So you achieved all that. You're comfortable, you're traveling, everything's golden. What now? Why do you want that? Pretty soon, I'm not going to go all through this with you on what I discovered and everything else. I'll talk like that. I talk about my purpose in later videos. I've already talked about my purpose in the last video. But what Empower Network did for me was took me through major exercises that I'd never been through. They also did some other things that you can only get at a live event. You can only get at the live event. I can't explain them now, mostly because I don't quite understand them exactly, but I also think that you know, it might sound a little weird, but it's not really weird. It's just some exercises they did with us, some things that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. So that's important to know. But just really delve down. Every time you peel off a layer and decide why you want what you want, you're going to get closer and closer to your purpose. And the closer you get to your purpose, the more you can understand why you want what you want. And when you discover that purpose, and there are deeper layers than just your purpose, but we won't go into that now. When you discover your purpose, you'll know, it'll be really hardcore for you. It'll hit you in the heart. It'll be somewhat emotional for you. But when you really know your purpose and you boil it down to that simple thing that you know you're here to do at this moment now, then you will be able to get up every day and achieve the goals you're achieving, that you want to achieve, I should say, because you will know exactly what you want. And knowing that purpose and holding that purpose will actually allow you to break that cycle. Because remember, it's one thing to say that you have a goal and say you want to do something, but it's a whole other thing to have a purpose behind that and the reason you're doing it. Because most of us are just going to say to ourselves in our mind or somewhere else, we're going to say, this is what we want to do something different, but then the weekend comes and we're all back into the same cycle, or, you know, we're back into, we say we want to change a relationship or a living situation or a job, but then we go right back to it and say, oh, it's not so bad until it's bad again, and you know what I'm saying. I don't need to go through this with you. So, just know that I don't care what you've been told, I don't care what you believe, I don't care where you come from, I don't care if your situation has been like poor, rich, or otherwise, I don't care if you've been in jail, I don't care if you've been the biggest angel all your life. Just know that you are capable of anything, and you are much more powerful than you've ever thought you were. And even if you don't believe that about yourself, I do. And I believe that you have the ability to achieve anything you want and any dream you have. And when we put our heads together and when we put our focus together, that is unstoppable. And some of you already know this. Some of you already know this by large gatherings you've been in, those moments where everyone feels connected, no matter how fleeting. It could be a few seconds, could be a few minutes. But with proper intention and us together focusing what we want and we want to manifest and taking action on that, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're basically going to start attracting, you know, the things into your life that allow that to happen, because that is your focus, because you are backed up by your purpose. So that's really what I wanted to get, explain today, and just know that no matter how hard you've pushed before, in order to really get what you want and get those shackles off you, the matrix has you tied down. This system has you tied down. You might be in that little town where you're like, I'll never get out. It's like a trap. It feels like it just keeps pulling me back in no matter how far I want to go, no matter what. You're not stuck. But you have to really want it. You have to want to be free. You have to want to be free, and you have to use everything you've got to want to change and to really release yourself. I know that's what I've wanted, and that's why I'm so passionate now. You know, after coming back from Chicago, I can't I can't even explain in words the shift, the mental shift I had. The mental shift I had erased my doubt. I'm not even sure how they did it, but I know that those doubts I used to have, those little doubts, you know, in the back of your head or in right in the middle of you, you know, that really, even no matter how confident you are, there's those little doubts like, well, I don't know, you know, no. Those are gone for me. I have no problem talking about my purpose or encouraging you to find yours. And that's what I'm here for. So just know that even if everyone around you doesn't believe in you, I believe in you. I believe you can do it. And really, after all is said and done, if you're interested in changing your life and you're interested in making an income online, like I'm doing, and really freeing yourself, because everything's a vehicle. Money's a vehicle, money is energy, and we all have the ability to change. So I work with the Empower Network. There's a link below, right? You get registered for $25. You can start your blog, and once you register to be an affiliate, you can resell that blog to other people for 100% commissions. And there's other levels above that that can actually make you anywhere from like literally like $25 a day all the way up to thousands a day. There's people in this company making thousands a day, literally. And most of them, after putting some hard work into it for about 90 days, are, I don't know, working 2 to 3 hours a day. That's it. That's it. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be on the beaches of the world very soon. In fact, I'm going to Maui soon. I'll be making some videos there. And I'll be at more festivals, meeting more of you in person very soon. Some of you have talked to me online, some of you haven't. Listen, if you find this online, if you find this online, that's everywhere. If you find this on Facebook, seriously, hit me up, message me. Literally, no, I have a Facebook group. It's under my same name. Just add yourself to that. We'll start talking. You know, that's it. So I'm here to give you the tools you need to succeed. I would absolutely love to have you on my team at Empower Network, and actually I'd love to have you at the next event so that I can help you shift your mindset and actually achieve that little thing that's been digging at you forever, achieve that little thing that's been knocking at you and saying, hey, you need to do something different. All right? I love you, I believe in you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.